Get ready for an hour filled with conspiracies, UFOs, ghosts, the paranormal, legends, and myths from around the world. Chasing Prophecy Radio, where the paranormal is supernatural. With your hosts, Sean Kelly, Jenny Nicasio. Welcome to the Chasing Prophecy Radio, and here are your hosts, Sean and Jenny.
And you're live.
Good evening from the Keystone State. Welcome to Chasing Prophecy on the UFO Paranormal Radio Network 107.1 FM New Orleans, where we discuss anything and everything beyond the scope of normal. I'm Jenny Nicasio, along with my co-host Sean Kelly. Remember to like us on Facebook and Instagram. Great to be with you this evening. Wow, there's so much going on in the paranormal world. Have you seen, Sean, the New Jersey UFO video?
Yes, I have.
Okay. The UFO video going viral on YouTube and Facebook said they debunked it, saying it was a blimp. Okay? But was it really? I mean, I looked at it a dozen times. What about you?
I looked at it and I did some research on the Goodyear blimp, and the last flight that was taken was March 14th in the year 2017.
That's what I heard too.
And what else was pretty crazy about the video was that they had all these cars parked on the side of the road looking at this thing.
I know.
And see, to me, personally, what I feel is that it was definitely a UFO. It was in... Nothing military, just that was a UFO.
Yeah, there's a lot of military bases there, and the fact that it wasn't like a blimp. I mean, it didn't look like it unless they have a new design. And like you said, they quit doing that years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it was near the Giants Stadium in New Jersey, and they said they were filming there. Okay, well, it's on the other side, a good 10 miles away, too.
Right.
And like you said, thousands of people, they pulled over on the highway to check it out. And you know what a blimp looks like. I've seen them hundreds of times years ago. I have not seen one blimp, like you said, in years. So they retired the blimp. So someone's not telling the truth. I'm not buying it.
Oh, I'm not either.
You're not either. So moving on a little bit, let's talk about your investigations this past weekend. And you had an investigation. Where was that? New Brighton Grove Cemetery near Pittsburgh?
Yes, Grove Cemetery, and it's in New Brighton, PA. It's about 14 miles away from Pittsburgh, and we had a lot of people there this week.
How many did you have on your investigation?
I would have to say close to about 15 people.
Oh, that sounds like a good one. And what were your results?
Well, Jason caught the shadow in the cemetery. That was the big one.
Yeah. And
I think
you can check it out on our Chasing Prophecy Facebook page. I seen that, and that was really creepy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it surprised him. He's all excited because it's his first one ever.
It looked totally like a shadow person. I mean,
yes.
It was dark, and it didn't look like an apparition, like a ghost. It looked like a shadow person. So it could be time travelers.
Could be.
Interdimensional beings.
Could be.
Could be. I think it's great that he caught it. I'm glad he caught it. He seemed excited last time we spoke. How about the recent news? I don't know if you saw this, but this isn't paranormal, but it does affect our environment and our what do you call those rhythms? Oh, come on. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do, but I can't.
I got a brain freeze. Well, they're talking about passing a bill to do away with daylight savings time for just 2021, which it seems like it's ridiculous. I mean, if you're going to do that, why don't you just do it forever? Why just 2020 was already screwed up enough. Okay. And so they're going to try to make 2021 just as bad. I mean, just don't do it or just leave it the way it is for now and don't bother with the clocks because it messes me up. It messes my rhythms up, my bio. I know what it is. I'm going to wait. We'll figure it out. I know what it is, but it'll come to me like halfway through the show. But yeah, like, why don't they just leave it alone? So, yeah, like I said, so many weird things have been happening, and I got for our first letter from one of our listeners last week. We got a letter from a young man who was camping and saw a strange, tall, thin creature with sparse hair and bald in spots. Okay, so I was really doing some research on this, and I came across an article from Mysterious Universe. That's what it's called, and it's entitled "Thoughts on Dogman." Okay, this sounds like what he was describing. What they are strange creatures that are flesh and blood animals. They might be creatures of a supernatural type, the dogmen, or they could be any strange combination of the two. And the phenomena largely began, they said, in 1991. And that was the people, I don't know if you know any of this stuff, the city of Elkhorn, Wisconsin, and which has, they said there's a population of 11,000. Now, these people were swamped, they were swamped by reports of creatures that eerily sound like werewolves. So the dogman's like a werewolf. In other words, I think they look like wolves, but they stand on their, I guess, their hind legs, and they have the uncanny, sinister, even ability to walk. And this is what this guy, I can't recall, I think his name was Ed, said that this thing did. It was standing on his hind legs, looking at him. And the only thing that I didn't read about this one, it said that he said the eyes were a piercing red. And as far as I know, and as far as these people in the articles knows, that there's no such thing, no animal exists like that. That hasn't, but that hasn't stopped numerous people reporting that they've seen these creatures, John. So I'm not sure if you listened to the video that I did. What are your thoughts on the dogman?
It was whenever I got the word about we were going to talk about the dogman, I checked it out and I did some research on it. Not a lot. And to me, okay, I'm on the fence with it, Jenny.
You're not really sure?
No, I'm not.
I don't know. I think it's like another cryptid creature, like a Bigfoot. But like I said years ago, I saw something like that at my bay window when I was a kid, and I saw something with the piercing red eyes. But you're not sure about that.
No, I'm not. I mean, if they heard the howling, I'm sure Elkhorn, Wisconsin has wolves. Or
But wolves don't stand on their hind legs, do they?
True.
I've never seen one. We'll have to, if anybody out there has ever seen or heard somebody living in like one of the national parks, if you've ever seen anything like that, please drop us an email at chasingprophecyradio@gmail.com. So it seems not only that there are these reports on these cryptid creatures, but in the paranormal world, more and more people are claiming to be abducted. Okay? And they wake up in the middle of the night, and they wake up and their bedroom's in disarray. Okay, and they find strange markings on their body. And I remember you showed me pictures of one of your gals that was an investigation, and she had these scratches on her back. Okay, and the more I think about it, I thought of what happened to me not too long ago. I woke up recently from a loud noise in my bedroom, and I mean, it woke me up. And I was scared for a second because it was like a crashing sound in my bedroom. And when I woke up, I noticed a picture on my wall had fallen down and hit my glass end table. But when I was getting dressed that morning, Sean, there was 3 scratches on my back, and that freaked me out. Okay, so that's where I'm getting to. So these 3, there was in a row, it was 3 scratches. And our guest tonight may know if what that creature was in the woods that this young man saw, or dogmans, or even what happened to me in my bedroom with the scratches and the loud noise and oh, excuse me, sleeping. I hate to interrupt anything, but speaking of sleep disturbances, Brian Sharpless, who was on our show a number of times, he's a contributor, he wants to let everyone know if you're having a problem with sleep insomnia, that he's doing an organized lecture through the Professors and Pints, and there's a link on my Chasing Prophecy Facebook page, and you can check that out too. But sleep disturbances, insomnia, shadow people, this all leads us to our next guest. And this evening on Chasing Prophecy, we have demonologist Reverend Teri Lynge-Kehl, I think that's how you say her name. Teri Kehl. I got it a little bit right. Teri has faced off with demons for years, and of the underworld that troll about the earth, seeking to ruin our souls. And she's a leader of all things paranormal and the unknown, and has been a guest on many radio shows and TV shows explaining about her encounters with the strange and her combat with the underworld. She's winning the battles, and Teri is also the author of an ebook called Alien Healing. Forewarned, Teri, this is a warning, guys. Teri's stories may have you keeping the lights on tonight, so I just want to let you know. So you might want to grab some popcorn and a blanket and curl up on a nice, easy chair and join us. Teri, welcome to Chasing Prophecy.
Well, thank you. It's great to be here.
We're so excited. Sean and I are really excited to have you here. I've been reading your blog and watching your videos on YouTube. You've been all over the world investigating paranormal anomalies with your husband. I think that's your husband.
It is, right.
Okay, so we're so glad to have you on the show. What got you interested in the paranormal, UFOs, and demons?
Well, initially, I wasn't interested at all. It just kept happening to me. And it started at such a very young age for me, 5 years old.
Wow.
I started remembering things right from the beginning. And I would try to discuss it with my parents and even my older sister. Mm-hmm. And no one seemed to be able to identify with me and what was happening. And being that we were a family that, went to church, my parents were Catholics, they just couldn't wrap their minds around the things that I would tell them. And so I grew up alone in all of this and just had to deal with it by myself.
Wow, that has to be horrifying for a 5-year-old.
It was very horrifying. The first thing that I saw as a 5-year-old was while I was playing outside. My siblings were all playing baseball. I wasn't a big baseball person, but I was out there doing that. And I kept hearing my name called. And I heard my name at least 3 times, just Teri. And it was a man's voice, so I thought it was my father, and I kept looking up at the house. And we had a tri-level home in Menominee Falls, Wisconsin. And he wasn't standing at the door. He wasn't standing by the window. He wasn't anywhere to be seen. And I kept turning around and looking like, where is he? And then I saw something in the sky moving. And as I looked up, all my siblings were running off to play in a field down the street, and I stood there staring at this being in the sky. Scared the bejesus out of me. I went running into the house screaming and telling my father, there's a man standing in the sky. I don't think they're supposed to stand in the sky. Are men supposed to stand in the sky? There's a man in the sky. And my dad just said, okay, go wash up and get ready for dinner.
So what kind of, was it like an apparition in the sky? Was it?
Oh, no. This was a fully clothed man. He had a drape on him. It looked like he was in a robe. It had blue on it. He was as real as if you saw somebody standing next to you, outside on the sidewalk.
He was blue. He was wearing blue and a cape.
He was wearing a blue robe, and there was white on the robe. I don't remember.
Sounds like
exactly. It was very interesting. But he was a white man with longer hair.
Blonde hair?
I don't remember. The fear gripped me so. It kind of put me into a shock period. I was like shocked. You don't see that in the sky. I mean, you see a bird, you see this and that, but you don't see a man. And he was really high up. As a matter of fact, a few years ago, I went back to that property and took a picture in the sky where I first saw that as a child. And he was pretty high up, but he started coming down at me, which was beyond frightening for me. And I started running towards the house, and you know the rest of it I just told you, and I wrote that on my blog as well. I had to live with that and deal with that because no one would talk to me about it, basically.
No.
But I have come to find that that was just my wake-up call. The rest of my life was going to get much crazier, and it was like things happening to me were preparing me for where I believe it was God, where God wanted me to go, So, here I am all these years later, and I can honestly tell you, I've seen things that will curl my own hair. It was very hard to live through, deal with, and even share with people, because it was hard to wrap my own mind around what my own eyes were seeing. And the fear that I had to overcome through different circumstances that I went through with these different demons, actual physical human demons that would just be in my home, and these different things that were happening. No one at church could identify with me. Nobody could walk me through it. Nobody could give me information. Nobody helped me. It was just a process until one day, I think you've probably read about the demon that came into the room, and it looked like someone I knew. And I thought I was talking to somebody I knew.
Yeah, tell our listeners about that. Tell what you saw and how you felt.
Yeah, sure. I was sitting on my bed in my house. I had 2 kids. They were at school, and I had sat down just for a minute, and I saw something out of my peripheral vision, my left eye, near the doorway. And I looked over there, and standing in my doorway was a man that I had been engaged to about 6 years earlier. And I looked at this man standing there, and I went, John, what are you doing in my house? I couldn't believe it. I mean, I was shocked. All of a sudden, he was just standing there. He had on blue jeans, Huarache sandals. He had on a T-shirt. His hair was the way I had always seen him. He was a human form, 100%. You could not see through him. And I had never seen that before like that, other than the man standing in the sky, but I didn't focus on him much because I was so frightful. I was just so fearful. So anyway, he's standing there, and he doesn't answer me, but he gives me this really strange look. And then I was like, John, what are you doing in my bedroom? And,
yeah,
all the obvious questions that would come to your mind. And then all of a sudden, something happened that was beyond the realm of, I don't even know how to say it. I mean, it was so strange. And he started looking at me, and his face began to change from that of what I knew as this man that I used to be engaged to and I cared a lot about, John, and it started changing. And fear gripped me so profoundly, I could not even move my hands. I couldn't move my head or my body. And it was even a little frightening, to even look at it. And I was trying to pull my eyes away from it because the fear was so great. And I was sitting on the bed, and he was literally less than 4 feet from me. So as I'm watching him, I am trying very, very hard to just call for the Lord. I was trying to call for Jesus. And the power that this entity had, let me tell you, these demons, people mess with them. It's unbelievable. They're like seducing spirits. They have power. And I could not think of the name of Jesus. I couldn't.
Oh, wow.
I kept saying, I've been a Christian for how long? What was his name? What was his name? And then I heard, now this is really a beautiful thing. All of a sudden I heard, spell his name. And I thought, oh, okay, that didn't come from the demon. That came from another source that was with me while I was fighting this battle. And I thought, okay, spell his name. I think it starts with maybe a, I don't know, is it a J? I think there's a J in there. And all of a sudden, my mind's eye, I saw the J. And then I thought, oh, I don't know. I don't know what his name is. I should know it. You know, I mean, I was only on the worship team, okay? And I'm thinking, I don't know what and then I thought, wait, I think there's an E in there. And then I put the E in there. And then I saw J-E, but I was still clueless. And then eventually I saw the S. And when I looked at the S, it was J-E-S, and I went, I know there's a U in there. There's a U. And then I went, Jesus. And the minute I did that, the minute I said that name, which is why I am very much into doing things this way. Mm-hmm. When I said that name, that demon went into a tornadic spin, which I had never seen anything like that either. Scared me to death. But all of a sudden, I saw the back of my own head rise out of my body and take authority. Oh, my spirit being took authority over that demon. And my arm, my left arm, pointed towards the door. And he was reading my mind. And I was saying, get out. Well, he did. That tornadic spirit going, I'm telling you, about 100 miles an hour in a spin, and the craziness of the face that was in that spin was still there. But I wasn't afraid in the same way, but I was still very fearful. It ran down the hall. It left my room, ran down the hall into my children's bedroom, and slammed the door. And I mean, it slammed the door. It sounded like my damn door was going to come off the hinges. And I got up and ran out of the house. I ran into the front yard, jumping up and down all by myself on the bricks by my front door. And I was just jumping up and down going, oh my God, what the hell was that? And, oh, can I say that?
Yes,
or bleep?
You're fine.
Okay. And I'm just like, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. And I thought, why do you make me go through these things? Why do you allow me to go through these things, Lord? I mean, who in the heck wants to go through this? And then all of a sudden it came to me after jumping up and down and ranting and raving, at the Lord about this experience that he allowed me to go through, because I believe nothing can happen to me that he doesn't allow. So he allowed it to teach me something. And I'm like, oh, who wants to learn this lesson? And then all of a sudden I thought, oh my God, that thing is still in my children's bedroom.
Yeah,
oh crap, I got to go back in the house. And I'm like, oh no. I was happy to sit outside until my husband came home. And I thought, oh my God, I got to go back in there. The kids will be coming home from school. And so this is just such a beautiful story, but it was so frightening. So I opened the door, and it was broad daylight, by the way, broad daylight. It was like, what? Almost 3 o'clock. The kids would be coming home any time. It was like 2:45. So, and I'm in Florida. It's hot. It's broad daylight. And I turn the lights on in the living room. And I open the door and turn the lights on and leave the front door wide open. And I'm just going, okay, I've got to get over to that. I've got to get in that room. I've got to get that thing out of there. I have to go face it somehow or other. And I'm shaking like a leaf. And I'm thinking, oh God, please help me. Please help me. And then I walk up the step into my dining room, and I've got to go through the dining room into my little office area to get to their bedroom, and then down the hall. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so scared. Oh God, please. And the whole time I'm just begging for mercy. I'm begging for help. Something happened. When I put my hand on that doorknob, I was not afraid.
Wow.
I have never been afraid again. I had gone through the valley of the shadow of death. And it says, you will fear no evil, and believe you me, I did not fear evil. By the time my hand hit that doorknob, I had walked myself through the gravest of fears. And I was so powerful, something came on me. It was like I got a dose of the Holy Spirit or something, and I opened that door and I was ready to slay the living bejesus out of that thing. And when I went in the room, there was nothing there. And so I walked all all back and forth in the room, and I just commanded it out in the name of Jesus. Get out of my house, stay out of my house. And you would think with demonic entities that would be enough, but it isn't. They do come back. They do taunt you. They do fight you. It was gone for almost 6 months. And then one night, my son Joshua came into my room shaking, horridly shaking, and screaming, crying, telling me, Mommy, there's a man in my room. And I thought, oh, crap. Oh, so I threw him in my bed, and I got up and I headed down that hall, and I thought, you SOB. You know, I mean, I was angry. And my other son, Jason, was still in that room sleeping. So I'm like, oh my God, these spirits. That's why when people call me and say they have a problem with a spirit with their children, I'm out the door and in the car. I'm headed to their home, because these spirits can be so malevolent. They can actually be vicious. And if they have power, then they're very dangerous. And if somebody like me in the beginning is nothing but scared, they will taunt you and taunt you. But if someone like me who has gone through this and is no longer afraid of them, they're afraid of me now. You know, I'm going in there and I'm looking for them. So anyhow, this was such a beautiful thing for me, because never again was I afraid. And when I went in that night, I cast it out again, and we never had it come back. But I was so angry. I was just screaming into the room. It wasn't there. And I asked Joshua, what did you see, honey? What did you see? And he said that he opened his eyes, and there was a man all in white standing there. And I knew it was this same demonic entity, because when he went into the tornadic spin, he was completely white. It was this white tornadic spin, and it no longer looked like John. It looked like a demon. And a very frightening face with very ugly eyes, and an elongated face with just a frightening look in the eyes. It was very frightening. And this is what he saw. And so I anointed that room with oil, and I woke Jason up, and I took him into my bed for that night. I didn't want to make the kids stay in that room. I brought them in and let them sleep with me that night. And then I got up the next day again and rebuked and anointed. And we never had any problems with that particular spirit.
Wow. It's, I'm amazed that you're using that adjective, beautiful, for something like this. I mean, I
know.
It's just a strange...
because believe me, when you're that scared, though, and you go through all of that, nothing is more beautiful than the victory. When you get the victory in it, it's such an amazing thing. I mean, I'm just telling you my heart, you know.
Oh, Sean, what are your thoughts on this?
She could be my twin.
Oh, you're out there.
God, trust me. I also go, besides paranormal investigation, I do go to clients' houses, and I do fight demons.
Oh, yeah.
But for me, what I do is I go into a deep meditation, and when I leave my body to find the demon, I take along my spirit animal, which is a wolf, the wolf in his pack. And I also work with the Archangel Uriel. And what's crazy, though, for me is when I'm looking for the demon, do you remember Uncle Fester from the Addams Family?
I do,
They all demons appear to me as Uncle Fester. Yeah, so that's how I know it's a demon. And trust me, I mean, they are tough, they are powerful. But here, the big thing for me was a lot of the, they used to have demon dogs with them. And that's where the wolf came in.
It sounds like the Dogman.
Yeah.
But my question to you is, okay, when you first met the spirit or demon, and did you have a feeling it could have been bad even before you knew what it was?
I did. even as a child, when certain things would approach me, I could feel immediately if this was of God or not of God. And those are my connections. My spirit being is the Holy Spirit, and I identify so much with him because I've seen angels. They've appeared in my home, and these are godly angels. These are messengers. These are amazing angels, beautiful, chiseled faces to perfection, white hair that actually came down to their shoulders in these amazing curls, with blue eyes, and they even had like pink cheeks. I mean, it was ridiculous how beautiful they were. They were like a painting. And, I had never seen a painting like that. So I don't know why they would come and look like that to me. Some people have said, well, maybe they were Nordics. And I thought, well, a lot of people say that's what Nordics look like, but it didn't appear to be a Nordic. And they came several times to me, and they would give me messages. And these messages were powerful messages from the Lord. And each time they spoke to me, whatever they were telling me was something I needed. I needed to hear that. And so if it was Nordic, okay. If it was angel, okay.
I just find it fascinating how when you first saw this man in your room, it was a friend of yours that you...
Yes.
That's what kind of blew my mind.
Well, that's because those are familiar spirits, and they're biblical. They're familiar spirits. They come to you with familiarity to draw you in. Had that demon drawn me in, and I thought that that was actually John, a man that I once loved and was engaged to, had I actually believed that that was him, I don't know where this testimony then tonight would go. I don't know what he would have been able to do. Obviously, possessed me. He was very strong. It was a very strong demon. And they use people, or they, like somebody could come to you as, let's say, your grandmother, and you think it's your grandmother. It may not be your grandmother.
Or people who've seen, they think they saw images of Christ. How do you know that that's really Christ and not a demon?
Well, each case is a case-by-case scenario with that. I would have to, first of all, feel it and feel the vibration of the testimony, listen to the person, and see who they are. There's so much to take in account for. You can have a lying spirit coming right out of somebody telling you that story, or you could have a seducing spirit, or a familiar spirit, or even a spirit of Antichrist, or a bondage type of a spirit. Those are with addictions and doctrines of men and things like that. There's so many realms of the demonic spirits. There really are. And they say 7, there's 7 or there's 12, but I've seen so many, and I've interacted with so many that go after little babies. Literally go after little children in their cribs, and these kids are traumatized by these things.
That is
scary.
I have felt the same thing. My question to you real quick was, are you Scandinavian?
I'm not. I'm actually Irish, Swiss, Scottish, and my dad was 100% Italian, so no. And I'm not Rh negative either.
No.
No, the reason being, the first person that you saw when you were a young girl, I would have to say that would have been a Nordsman, like a Viking of some sort coming toward. That's what I felt, and this is what I said.
I felt that it was some kind of like what we were talking about with Joy Elaine last. I know that sounds bizarre, but like an Ashtar command. It sounds like him because he wears a blue outfit, like a cape, and he has this light eyes, and he has a light hair, and that's what it sounds like.
What he looked like. He did look like that.
Yeah, that's what it sounds
like.
And
he called my name specifically, so he didn't come after my siblings. He chose to come after me. And they all ran off to go play ball at the Beckers down the street. And I'm standing in the yard trying to figure out who's talking to me.
Yeah, it's crazy.
it's crazy. Yeah.
It's interesting and it's crazy in the same sense, but I mean, you've done so many other things too besides demonology and
Yes. Yes.
Going back to what we were talking about the UFOs in the beginning. What are your what are your thoughts, and is there an investigation, because you still on the board for MUFON?
I am.
And is there anything that sticks out in your mind that you find really legitimate that you can tell our listeners that you would like to share with us? I would like that.
In reference to extraterrestrials?
Yeah, anything that you investigated, or if you want to tell us that you think that's a legitimate, like with the Pentagon, and they're opening up more, giving us more data. Is Roswell, is there something do you think there's something hidden at Roswell for sure, or is this just another distraction?
No, I believe that Dulce, New Mexico is definitely an underground place. I do believe that we do definitely have aliens held there. I do believe that Roswell was real. I'm positive. I know that the extraterrestrials are with us. I've had many interactions with them. Some I've written about, some I haven't. They're definitely here. And I've been healed. I wrote that little book because it was so profound that I was actually healed from something that had happened to me in 2000, and in 2012, for whatever reason, an extraterrestrial came, and it wasn't just an extraterrestrial. It was a reptilian extraterrestrial hybrid.
Yeah, they thought those were very friendly.
Well, that's what people say, but they're wrong. I think that the extraterrestrials can be as evil as we are. I think that they can portray our inner vibrations, and they can react in the exact same way. And I do know most of that is very factual, what I'm telling you, because of talking with Sergeant Clifford Stone. And when he picked one up, he immediately was in total communion with this thing. Their vibrations melded together, and he knew the mind of that extraterrestrial, and the extraterrestrial knew his mind. Well, when I've ever been in the presence of the extraterrestrials, I meld with them. I feel them. They feel me, and I'm a peaceful soul. I come from a peaceful place. I'm not wicked. I don't hate. I mean, I'm a strong personality, and I have my opinions, but all in all, I'm incredibly forgiving, and I think they see that. And they know that, I'm not judging. I might be hurt because something happens to me, but I'll always forgive. And they know that. So I think they do meld with us in a sense, and can interact with us through a telepathic way. I've never seen any of them use their mouths. I've never seen a mouth, actually. I've never seen ears on them either. But they do have huge eyes, and they're very different from us. They're other than us. They are nothing like us. And a lot of people say, oh, I had sex with an extraterrestrial. And I'm like, no, you didn't. They don't have what you would need to have sex with them. I think you may have had sex with a demon. Demons can definitely sleep with you. Look in the book of Genesis. The fallen angels were having sex with the women, the daughters of Eve, it says, and they were having sex with them, and they were having children from that interaction. So the fallen angels do have the wherewithal to get a woman pregnant, and that's where the Nephilim came from. And I believe those are part of the Anunnaki realm. And the Nephilim were the giants at that time. So, I mean, I don't know why I said that, but it's because it always angers me when I hear women saying, oh, I had sex with I'm like, no, you didn't.
You had sex with a demon. Don't let...
You had sex with a demon. You did not have sex with an alien. But they do have hybridization, but that doesn't require sex. That's a genetic thing. So
in my trilogy, my third book, Aurora's Curtain, my character goes down to Dulce. Is that how you say it? Dulce? How do you pronounce the base in
Dulce?
And there's the 7 levels in that base, and there's one, I forget which paper it was Dulce papers that the one level had a bunch of hybrids.
Yes.
Now, are there 7 different? How many different races that they? Is there like how many different ones that they say there was at this base? There's like all.
Well, they say there's 100 and either 28 different. Are you talking about the species?
Yes, the different ones.
Oh.
That they have.
Yeah, I mean, some people say 57, and that's where Heinz 57 came from, and I'm like, oh my gosh. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe it did. I didn't ever really check that.
Did any of these ever get out? I mean, I know there was a firefight in the 70s between the people that worked there and the races. Did any of them ever escape and go off on their own?
The extraterrestrials?
Yes.
Oh, many have escaped. Many do get out. They do go back home. And Eyes Only, which was written by Clifford Stone, talks about him getting one out, actually, and releasing him. And the minute he was released, he was taken up by his own type. They literally took him back up. And so one minute he was there, and the next minute he wasn't. So they do get out, yes. And I have had some very powerful interactions with them, and I dare not say it on the air, but oh golly, there was labels on the coat jackets that I saw of the people working with them. I just don't want to say that out loud.
Yeah.
But no. I have seen it, and it's a big, huge corporation that we all are very aware of, and they do have them, and they are subdued. They're in bondage. Some of them are in bondage, and they've been collected from different crash sites, and we have made different.
That's where we get our technology.
That's when the black helicopters will start flying over my house, you know.
Well, it's sort of like, E.T., it's fictional, but maybe they got the story from somebody that does that they would have kept. They're keeping these ETs captive, and they can't get out, and they're using them for their technology. And you never know. Maybe some of these, like you're saying, these big corporations that have these new gadgets out every year, who knows? They might have an ET somewhere underground holding them captive and using them just for their technology, torturing them. Yeah, that's kind of scary to think that they would do that. Yeah, it's
there's a lot of scary things involved with this, but it is what it is, like there's many different types of extraterrestrials, they start from Bigfoot. I think he's part of a extraterrestrial hybridization. There's skinwalkers, there's regular, extraterrestrials, there's Nordics, there's tall whites, which I've seen many tall whites, there's grays, there's so many different types, and they all seem to have different agendas. They're not all, the reptilians, they're not all negative. If every time I hear somebody say, oh my God, the reptilians were so bad, blah, 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 I'm thinking, I don't know that wasn't a reptilian hybrid of some type, or if it wasn't something other than a reptilian. I don't know. I've seen 2, and one healed me, and the other one gave me a data dump and said to me, when he gave it to me, that at the time that I would need this information, it will come to me, and until the time I needed it, I would have it. And I thought, okay, that's not mean. He wasn't being mean. So I don't know.
I don't know either. Sean, what are your thoughts?
I find it very, very interesting. I find you, ma'am, very interesting. So I'm going to have to check out your book and hopefully hook up in the future and talk some more about this. But my last question I want to ask you, do you think that the military and MUFON will work together in the future? And would you like to see that happen?
Well, I believe that we already have. We are not a government entity by any stretch of the imagination. And we're all volunteers. Nobody gets paid except our executive director. And they come to us. I mean, we even have a shirt that says we've been doing their job for the last, 50 years, you know, and they come to us for information, I think. And, you know, as far as I can see and have always heard, they do get information from us because we have the database. Can they log into that database? I think so. I think that the government can do anything they want. So whatever information we have, we're not necessarily working with them, but they might be working against us.
Yeah.
Okay.
You could come to one of our MUFON conferences out here in Western Pennsylvania. That would be awesome. You would be a great speaker.
I'd love to. Just invite me and I'll come.
You have to talk to John Ventry because he's the one that handles all that. Even though he's not a director anymore for Pennsylvania, but he does handle the conferences. It would be great. I'm going to have to talk to him about that. It's too late for this year, but maybe next year. So
Sure.
it would be awesome. How are we with time, Sean?
We got right now about a minute left.
Okay, well, got kind of shorted off this week because having difficulty getting you in, but it was great to have you with us today. I want to thank you for joining us, Teri. And where can our listeners get a hold of you or read your books?
Okay, they can get a hold of me at dom@mufon.com, and they can read my book at terilynge.com. It's TERILYN, like Nancy, GE.com.
Oh, okay. Well, we will be going to do that because I think you are fascinating. Sean,
thank you.
It was so great to have you. Sean, tell our audience where someone can get in contact with you for a paranormal investigation.
Sure. Just go to Facebook and type in Pittsburgh Paranormal Society and leave us a message, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible.
Great. And I want to let you guys know you can catch up on all our old podcasts with our old station on Spotify. So you can, I think there's like 10 of them there, maybe even more. But please check out my author page at J.E. Nicasio. My trilogy From the Sky is there with all 3 books, Equinox, Aurora's Curtain, on Amazon.com. And next week we have Joy Pugh back on the show talking about the Antichrist. That should be interesting, huh, Sean? I know you love demons. No. Well, great to have you, Teri, and hope you join us next week. And remember to like us on Facebook and Instagram, and check out or subscribe, and both, to chasingprophecyradio.com and our YouTube channel. We look forward to your ghostly stories, and you can send them to chasingprophecyradio@gmail.com. Stay safe, and good night, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to Chasing Prophecy.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
Good job, guys.
Thanks.
Just let y'all know y'all were off the air. Leave y'all hanging because I was talking with my wife.
I was like, okay, or we have more. We could have kept on talking.
Yeah, she's violent if I don't give her the right amount of attention, you know.
Yeah.
She's vicious, actually.
Well, thank you.
Last time I seen her, she was walking around the house with a pony chocker thing. I was getting really worried.
Electric collar?
No, it's worse than that. It's one of these things we use on the cows.